Hello everybody and welcome. It's me, Captain X. How you doing? Alright, the best way to describe this video that I'm giving you today is basically a review of the last Bleach discussion I had concerning Bleach. Okay. So I'm going to be giving you like basically the overall verdict of, the discussion, as well as, things that I pointed out, things that me and other people in the debate pointed out. Okay, let's talk about how this started off. Initially, this didn't actually start off as a debate. It started off as a conversation that I had with a couple of my mates at college. Basically, they were ranting on about, oh, Ichigo is the best character in Bleach. Ichigo's the best character in Bleach. He's the most powerful character in Bleach. Just because he's essentially just because he's the main character, just going on a mad rant. So I looked at them like, are you for real? The best character in Bleach? The strongest character in Bleach? Alright. So I decided that instead of making this discussion, local, I decided to make it global. I decided to post this on YouTube, make a video about this, and get the opinions of my subscribers and other people in general, anybody who wants to join in the discussion. All right. So, but I kind of put a different twist on it. I asked the question was whether I should have done. Maybe I should have asked it if Ichigo was the best character in Bleach. But the question that I asked was, is Ichigo stronger than the captains of the Gotie 13? And then I made two videos about it. I made an initial video, which I received a video response from one of my subscribers. And forgive me if I get your name wrong. And if I get your name wrong, brother, send me an inbox of how to pronounce it so I don't ever get it wrong again. Alright, so it's Joas Simons. I hope I got that right, brother. Sorry if I haven't. Alright, so I made a video about it, saying that how Ichigo is not stronger than the captains of the Gotie 13 for various reasons, such as him not having fully developed powers and whatnot. And the discussion went on. You can have a look at the video to get a full gist of exactly what I said, because at this current moment in time I can't remember exactly what I said, but there were various points that I made. I received a video response from my subscriber, Joa Simos, and he made very valid points. Like, to an extent we agreed, but there were certain things that we disagreed on. But naturally that's what happens in a debate. So what I did like about this debate is that, even though we had like opposing opinions, he wasn't rude about it. He wasn't rude about, my opinions on the matter. I wasn't rude about his opinions on the matter. It wasn't disrespectful. It was a good educational experience. Alright. My main points were, essentially that, let me look here, I'm sure I made some notes. Alright. The main gist of the conversation that I was trying to get across was that although Ichigo is very powerful, it's undoubtedly that he's very, very, very powerful. You can't consider him to be the best character in Bleach, or the strongest character, stronger than all the captains, for example. That's been there so far, that we've seen in the entire Bleach series. You can't say that simply because if you compare his power to somebody, let me rephrase that. In Bleach, there is more than one way to win a battle. We all know that the strongest doesn't always win a battle. Take for example, Yamamoto Genryusai and Aizen. And take for example, Aizen versus Shinji. In Bleach, there are various things that make you win a battle. 1 is spiritual pressure. 2 is the abilities of your Zanpakuto. 3 is your basically your general technique in basically swordsmanship. So those are the main things that can contribute to you winning a battle in Bleach. Oh, sorry. And 4th, your intelligence. How can I forget that? One of the most important things. Okay. So when Aizen fought Yamamoto Genryusai, Aizen stated himself that, that Yamamoto is more powerful than Aizen is himself. He stated that himself. That's a fact. And so he created Wonder Weiss to deal with Ryujin Jaka, basically the main source of Yamamoto's power minus his physical strength and swordsmanship. Okay, so Aizen defeated Yamamoto by outsmarting him. That's one thing. Okay, now, so we can see in terms of intelligence. When we're talking about in terms of spiritual pressure, Ichigo drew in this battle, but when he fought against Zaraki Kenpachi before he used the Shikai to the maximum extent, he couldn't scratch Zaraki Kenpachi. And the reason for that is that Zaraki explained it himself, that basically a battle between Shinigami is a battle between spiritual pressure. And when two spiritual pressures collide, the weaker one gets hurt. The weaker one gets pushed back. And as you can see, when Ichigo swung his Zangetsu at Zaraki's chest, it didn't cut him, but it made Ichigo's hand bleed. So that's spiritual pressure. Now, in terms of abilities, you see, there's several instances for this, but let's take, for example, Aizen and Shinji. Aizen's Zanpakuto is basically his hypnosis and controls all 5 of your senses. The key word being controls, so you can do whatever he wants with them. Shinji's Zanpakuto, these are both in Shikai, by the way, we don't know about Bankai, inverts your senses. So it makes left, right, left, up, down, right, forwards, backwards, and backwards, forwards. That it basically inverts your senses and messes with them. Okay, so on that instance, it is clear to see why Aizen won that battle, because his Zanpakuto abilities are superior to Shinji's. Okay, now where I was generally going with this discussion is in terms of Ichigo now, is that although Ichigo is very, very powerful, you know, in terms of spiritual pressure, it is undoubtedly that he is stronger than most of the captains of the Gotie 13. Undoubtedly. Initially, I disagreed with this for various reasons. I said that, you know, when he fought Yami and he was full hollow, you know, powered and whatnot, he did very little damage to Ichigo. But there was a point that I overlooked. Preceding that battle, he went into Garganta with Unohana, and this point was pointed out to me by the Elite Ace, Charles' Anime TV, Joa Simos, and other people that commented on the video themselves. This was pointed out to me, and I'm very grateful that you guys pointed this out to me, because, you know, a debate isn't about, you know, just, you know, proving somebody else wrong, shutting down their opinion, making them look, you know, like a fool. No, a debate is about an educational experience where you both express your opinions based on a debate. Let me rephrase this. Forget opinions. When it comes to debate, you must bring facts. And I implemented my opinion with, you know, this scenario. So that's where I went wrong. So, okay, now let me go back into this. It was stated by Ichigo and Unohana that Ichigo was only at half power, you know, because of his kimono was in half. His kimono, you know, his Bankai kimono represents how much spiritual pressure he has left. And the fact that it was less than half means that he had less than half spiritual pressure when he took on Yami. So that means that little nick that he done in his neck could have easily doubled in damage, size, and depth, meaning that he could have realistically finished Yami in one strike. Whereas Byakuya, who had very little to no damage, okay, yes, he fought the Espada number 7, but it wasn't at half power. That's evident to see. Like, he broke off a piece of Yami's mask when he done the Senbon Zakuro Kageyoshi towards his face. So it did minimal damage. So, and another thing that I overlooked as well, I did state that, you know, Byakuya is stronger than Ichigo because, you know, Byakuya is an arrogant captain, and how, you know, he knows various techniques and whatnot, and although he uses Bankai at his maximum level, he could have killed Ichigo. Like, for example, when he released his Senkai with the dome of the 1,000 blades, he blocked Ichigo's blade, stabbed him through the foot, and done huddle for Byakuya through his shoulder, where he could have done it through his neck or his head and killed him. That is true. So, for that instance, yes, you could say Byakuya could have defeated Ichigo, and that the only reason Ichigo won is because, you know, his hollow took over and whatnot, because he was being crushed by his own spiritual pressure. But there's something that I overlooked, and it was a key thing, and I can't believe that I overlooked this, is that when Ichigo first releases Bankai, as you're about to see in the screen behind me right now, I'm probably not in sync right now because I'm not looking behind me to find out. So, yeah. Ichigo moved so quickly that he had the tip of his blade up to Byakuya's throat. So he could have taken out Byakuya instantly within one strike, the same way he could with Yami. And Byakuya is one of the strongest captains of the Gotie 13. So, bearing that in mind as well, is evident to see that Ichigo could take down several members of the Gotie 13, and their captains included. There were several captains that he stated that, you know, Ichigo could, Joa Simos stated in the video response that Ichigo could take out, that we both agreed on. Then, another thing that I overlooked as well, and that I was stating, was that when Ichigo went into the final Getsuga Tensho mode, I looked at it as in terms of like, that was just him releasing his spiritual pressure to the extreme. That's the way I viewed it at the time. That was my opinion, that wasn't fact. But what was fact is that Ichigo at that period in time was a transcendent being. Because when Aizen turned into the chrysalis form, Captain level Ishin, Urahara Kisuke, and Yoruichi, who were all previous captains of the Gotie 13 and very powerful captains at that, were not able to sense Aizen's spiritual pressure. And in Bleach, when you cannot sense spiritual pressure, it means that that person is on an ascended level. So they're on a completely different level of power. Something that you cannot comprehend, something that you are unaware of. Ichigo, post Dangai, like Dangai Ichigo, was on a level that Aizen could not sense. You know, being a transcendent being himself. So meaning that he's not one, but 2 dimensions above all the rest of the captains of the Gotie 13. Okay. So when I bear that in mind, in terms of power and spiritual pressure, it is evident to see that Ichigo is, in fact, stronger than the captains of the Gotie 13. Now, when you bear in mind what I was saying earlier about the thing about abilities, we all know that Ichigo only knows 1 move. If you include Final Getsuga Tensho, it's 2 moves, but initially 1 move, and that 1 move is Getsuga Tensho. And we know the reason for that is because he's never sat down with Zangetsu and used the technique Jinzen. He's only used it once to learn Final Getsuga Tensho, but he doesn't do this on a regular basis to learn new techniques from Zangetsu, because that is how a Shinigami learns new techniques from his Zanpakuto. That's most likely how Byakuya did it, that's most likely how Shunsui did it, and all the other Soul Reapers and captains of the Gotie 13 minus Zaraki Kenpachi. Okay, so that's that. So in terms of power and the grand scheme of things, you can see that Ichigo, in terms of Reiatsu, is stronger than all, or if not most, of the captains of the Gotie 13. The one that I still disagree with is Yamamoto Genryusai. And the reason for that is, Ichigo may have surpassed him in terms of spiritual pressure. Maybe. That's debatable. So I'm going to put that down to speculation. We can't call that. But there's one thing that we can say. Ichigo is not the best, is not the strongest or best character that we've seen in Bleach thus far. Not yet, anyway. I believe he will develop to be, because he's the main protagonist. But for those of you who have seen the manga, when you look at Yamamoto's Bankai, I believe it's Zanka no Tashi East, where he basically has a prison uniform of the sun, where spiritual pressure and heat engulfs Yamamoto at a temperature of 1.5 million degrees, I believe it was. Ichigo's attacks are mainly physical attacks, minus the exception of Getsuga Tensho, because he does not know any Kido. He hasn't been through the Shinigami Academy to learn these things. So all his attacks are generally, minus Getsuga Tensho, close range and physical attacks. Whereas if you touch Yamamoto in this form, you will incinerate into nothing. You will incinerate on the spot. You cannot touch him in Bankai. Another character who is similar to this is a character called Baragan. And as much as I like Ichigo, these are 2 characters that he could not tango with, not at his current stage in power. Because Baragan's power is similar to Yamamoto's Bankai in a sense that whereas anything he touches is essentially finished, because it ages, it begins to rot on the spot, as you see in the case with Soifon's arm. Okay, so in terms of this entire discussion, I will accept the fact that, you know what, there were things that I missed out. There were things that I was wrong on. But I will also know, but you also must bear in mind that there were things that I was right on. In terms of where battles in Bleach aren't determined just by spiritual pressure. Spiritual pressure is a key element, but they also determine from the Zanpakuto abilities, intelligence, and physical strength. So, in terms of Zaraki Kenpachi, I know that Ichigo was post Bankai, but we know that Zaraki Kenpachi had loads of things inhibiting him in terms of his Bankai and his own mental shackles. And the fact that he didn't even know the ability of his Zanpakuto, so he's more or less swinging around a piece of metal hardened by spiritual pressure against Ichigo, who's using the full power of his Shikai at the time. So, in terms of that, we can agree that Zaraki Kenpachi and Ichigo are on generally equal terms. If not, Zaraki might just be slightly stronger, or Ichigo might just be slightly stronger. That's the general consensus of things. There are several things that I missed out. Okay, for example, the Vizards, who are essentially better at using their hollow powers than Ichigo is. That is evident to see as well. But Ichigo, his hollow is, as you can see, in a sense, stronger than most of the Vizards, because what he was able to do to Hiyori, when he wasn't even in Bankai, when Hiyori used essentially her full power. We don't know if Hiyori has Bankai or not, but he was choking the life out of her. And when he was training, he didn't complete his training. And you see how powerful he was compared to the other Vizards. So, bearing all of that in mind, it is evident to see that throughout the history of the Gotie 13, Ichigo ranks very highly among the captains, maybe with the exception of Yamamoto and Zaraki Kenpachi. We're not too sure about Captain Unohana, because even in the manga, we get to see how strong she realistically is. We know her Shikai is a healing type. But we do know that, you know, the ability of a Zanpakuto doesn't change much between Shikai and Bankai. The general theme of that Shikai is still present. Like, you know, Yamamoto, fire, fire. And there's other, you know, examples of this. So, bearing that in mind, it's evident to see that Ichigo is very powerful among the captains of the Gotie 13. I do strongly believe that Ichigo will become the strongest as he develops his powers, as he learns, you know, to use his Quincy powers better, as he learns to use his Shinigami powers better, which I believe he will eventually get back, as he learns to use his Hollow powers and his Fullbrim powers better. As his powers develop and potentially merge, he will become a lot stronger than he currently is. So, another thing to note as well, in terms of this discussion in Bleach, is that to back up my point about, you know, fights not just being based on spiritual pressure, take a look at Juhabak when he fought against Yamamoto. Juhabak used his intelligence to defeat Yamamoto because he couldn't defeat Yamamoto. Hold on a second, guys. I'm going to pause the camera because the camera is about to die and I need to change battery and stuff. 1 second. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Now we're back resuming session. Okay. So what I was talking about was Juhabak. Juhabak clearly outsmarted Yamamoto to defeat him. He didn't defeat him with you know, like, he didn't go toe to toe with Yamamoto. And the reason that nobody could in the Soul Society so far has been able to go toe to toe with Yamamoto is 1, because of his strength and spiritual pressure is immense. 2, because of the abilities of his Zanpakuto. In Shikai and in Bankai, it's just very, very overpowering. It's even been stated that, you know, it's the oldest and the strongest Zanpakuto by Kyoraku Shunsui and Joshiro Ukitake when they were both about to fight him in the Soul Society arc. Okay, so now to wrap this discussion up and this everything once and for all. So, like I've said, I like having debates with people on YouTube about things all concerning Bleach. I don't go into I'm not one of these hard-headed YouTubers here that will, you know, say like, oh, try and put down your point, not listen to you if what you're saying is completely valid, because in a debate, you have to bring facts. Like, damn your feelings. Damn your opinions. It's about facts. The whole purpose of going into a debate is not to, you know, outsmart somebody, you know, to try and like make them look bad and try and make yourself, big up yourself, make you look good. No, it's an educational experience. It's about, you know, both of you expressing what you both know about a particular topic and why something may or may not be the case. So in this discussion, I was right to an extent, but there were certain things that made me wrong. So the total review is, I will say that, you know, it was a draw. Because there were certain things that I had right, but I missed. There were certain things that my subscriber, Joa Simmons, had right, but missed. But the general consensus was that we agreed in the end. And I think that's what's great about having debates with people on YouTube. Especially when you can both come to an agreement, or you can both come to an understanding and not get all irate and hard-headed and just not listening to each other's opinions. That's what's truly great. So, okay, guys. Well, you know, it's been nice talking to you. This is me, Shimigami X, aka Captain X. I'm signing out, and as always, people, take care and peace. Oh, before I go, okay, I was gonna do this tomorrow because tomorrow is Wednesday, the day when the chapter comes out. Basically, as you all know, I'm captain of Squad X. I'm basically starting up my squad. I'm setting up my squad. Now, in my squad there will be 2 lieutenants. So please feel free to inbox me to apply for it, and I will be announcing the 2 winners for my lieutenants, my 2 right hand men or women, you know, to support me, guide me, and advise me, who have essentially equal rights to me in terms of my squad. Alright, but anyways, guys, this is me, Shimigami X, aka Captain X. I'm signing out, and as always, people, take care and peace.